is going on, everyone? Welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. In today's episode, I'm going to go through 3 seed starting crutches that I don't want you guys to use. What are the crutches? Well, let's talk about them. So it is seed starting season, and a lot of you are starting seeds, which is a good thing, but a lot of you are also coming across these videos online that talk about kind of seed starting hacks or seed starting tips. And there's some things mentioned in those videos that they're not wrong, but they're crutches. And in this episode, I'm gonna hopefully kind of remove those crutches so that you can become a better gardener. You see, if you break a bone, you'd go to the doctor and you get a cast. But once that cast is removed, you then have to, re-strengthen that bone that was broken, and that's done through physical therapy. And one of the problems I see a lot of gardeners making is that you're essentially just leaving the crutches on, right? You're not actually becoming a better gardener. You're not actually fixing the problems. You're just kind of relying on a crutch, and you're not actually learning how to become a better gardener. And so, like I said, in this episode, we're not going to bash these crutches. We're not going to say that they're wrong, because they're not wrong. They just kind of prevent you and inhibit you from being a better gardener, which on this channel, that's our goal, is to make you a better gardener. So let's talk about the first crutch of seed starting. So the first one that we're going to talk about is by far the most popular. I know a lot of you have probably heard of using cinnamon when seed starting. I know I have, and basically every seed starting tutorial that is intended for beginning gardeners will mention at some point using cinnamon as an antifungal. If you're suffering from things like mold or mildew growth, or if you're suffering from damping off, which is where your seedlings grow up about an inch or two and then they simply fall over flat and die, that's called damping off. And a lot of these advocates will say use cinnamon to prevent that. No, they're not wrong. Cinnamon is antifungal in nature, but what if I told you there was reasons that is causing the fungus that you could be preventing rather than using cinnamon? Because think about it, you're using cinnamon once you have the problem. I want to get you guys to not have the problem in the first place. Let's prevent that. All right, so the first reason why you're probably having mold and mildew and dampening off is because you're overwatering. This tray of onions here is pretty heavy because I just watered. And if I came back and watered on a regular basis, even when it didn't need it, that could cause mold, mildew, and damping off. The reason why is because mold is found everywhere. And when you have it in the soil here, what it needs to thrive is moisture. Mold does not grow in dry environments. That's why if you have like a bathroom and it's like let's say you have a sink or a shower, and there's like little cracks where water is continuously getting in all of the time, that's where mold starts to grow, right? And that's where you get mildew. And the same thing happens in your soil, same exact thing. If you allow it to dry out, mold cannot grow. And so what you're doing is you're actually, basically, you're doing it a favor by keeping it watered all the time. And ultimately your plants do not like to grow in a swamp, and so they start to show signs of damping off. That's kind of your first telltale sign that you're overwatering. But then the second thing is, if you're growing in soil, you're going to notice things like algae forming, right? Like little green spots are going to start to pop up on your soil. They might actually start to grow fuzzy mold, and that then starts to proliferate, and you might even start to get things like mushrooms. And now that's very, very far down the road, but that is what happens during the course of overwatering. And rather than turn to something like cinnamon and simply sprinkle cinnamon over the surface and say, well, the cinnamon's going to kill the mold. The reason why you have the mold is also the reason why your plants are not thriving. It's just too much moisture. All right, so the second reason why you're having to use cinnamon to prevent things like mold and mildew is because you're not using the right seed starting mix. Now, in our garden, when we use a seed starting mix, we start with a very, very high quality seed starting mix. The reason why is because seed starting mix has so much to do with what we talked about in the first point, which was overwatering. Because if you do happen to overwater, which is very common, it's normal, the seed starting mix should be able to basically get the excess water out of the soil fast. If it's holding on to that water for too long, if it's not airy, it's not light, it doesn't have things like perlite and vermiculite, it's not very well draining, it's going to hold on to that moisture for too long. So when you do overwater, it's going to exacerbate the problem, because the overwatering is a problem. But then if you happen to do it on a one-off chance and you have the wrong type of soil, it's going to hold on to that water for too long, and then you're going to get mold and mildew growth. You see these pots here, these flats here that we have, we watered these just yesterday, and you already notice they're starting to show signs of drying out. Now that to a lot of gardeners is like a bad thing. A lot of beginning gardeners say, well, my soil's drying out, that's bad. No, no, no. Having your soil dry out in between waterings is a good thing. It's a good thing. You really should have your soil dry out because that's what actually allows the plant roots to breathe and to grow. You see, a plant's job is to have roots that go out and source and find water. If your plants never have to move very far to get water and nutrients, you're going to have poor root development, you're going to have things like root rot, and then ultimately you're going to have things like dampening off, mold and mildew problems because your plants are literally sitting right at the source of the water, and that's not how they naturally would grow. So it's really important to have your soil dry out. And typically in a cell of this size, we're finding that we probably have to water about once a day to every other day. If this stayed wet for like 3 or 4 days straight, a beginning gardener would say, good, I don't have to water, my plants are fine. That's not a good thing. You should be watering these small cells here, these small cell trays, about every day to every other day if they're drying out fast enough. So again, having the right seed starting mix is so important, and knowing that having excess water is not a good thing. It's actually a bad thing. So we just talked about having the right type of soil and how that kind of regulates soil moisture, but there's another thing that actually helps regulate moisture, and that is a fan. Having really good air circulation is vital to cutting down on mold and mildew growth, which is another reason why you have to use cinnamon, is just mold and mildew growth because there's not enough ventilation. So you see, if there's not airflow, what happens is that soil moisture can stay longer than it should. Even if you're not overwatering, if you're just in an enclosed room and you're watering when you should and you're using the right type of soil, still things can go wrong if you don't have good ventilation. And that's why I always recommend in any grow room or greenhouse that you start to add a fan into your regimen, because it helps to reduce overwatering. It helps to reduce excess soil moisture so that you don't have things like mold and mildew growing. So adding a fan is super important. And then the other things that could help to kind of cut down on mold and mildew growth is not using a peat pot, not using organic pots when seed starting. This is a small thing. A lot of gardeners turn to them because they're very convenient, but they actually hold on to moisture. We did a whole video on why I don't recommend using peat pots to actually start seeds in. And then the other thing too is not sanitizing your trays. See these plastic trays here, we will use them for many seasons. As long as you don't crush them and break them, they can be repurposed and recycled. And if you don't sterilize them, they can harbor things like mold and mildew from previous years, dormant spores. And if you make a small mistake, that small mistake can make you pay dearly. And one of those things is by not sterilizing your trays. And so we have a whole video on how we sterilize our trays as well. We just use a very diluted bleach water solution, scrub our trays down in the beginning of the season before we start any seeds, and that can help to kill off any mold and mildew spores that are kind of hitchhiking on those trays. So those are all of the reasons why you would have to really use cinnamon, and the things that I want you to do better, because yes, cinnamon can absolutely work in a pinch, but again, it's solving the real root cause of the problem. I don't want you to put a Band-Aid on the problem. I want you to go to the actual cause of the problem, which is mold and mildew, and find out why you're getting mold and mildew so that you don't have mold and mildew any further. All right, the second gardening crutch that a lot of gardeners turn towards are plant stakes. Now, I'm not talking about staking up your tomatoes, because tomatoes are a vine. They do need some support, and it's really important that you stake them if you want to have them off the ground, disease-free and stuff like that. But what if I told you that staking up your seedlings and even young fruit trees can actually be a bad thing? You see, if you take a stake, it could be a bamboo stake, it could be like a shish kebab skewer like this, but if you take any stake whatsoever that is rigid and acts as support for a young plant, you're actually preventing it from doing what it wants to do naturally, which is to self-strengthen. Self-strengthening is a really important process in the plant's life, because what it does is it actually prevents it from snapping during a strong wind. You see, if you take this stake and you stick it in the pot, and let's say you had a tomato that was growing up and it was just a seedling, or if it was like a tall, lanky cucumber plant or broccoli, it could be literally anything. So I'm not going to go through the list because it could be any seedling. If you had a lanky seedling and instead you kind of stood it up against this little stake here while it was young and said, I'm going to let it grow up along this stake, I'm going to kind of support it, hold it to that stake so that it doesn't flop over, I'm going to be strengthening it. You would actually be setting yourself up for failure in the long run, because eventually that plant is going to have to graduate from this stake, and it's going to have to go out into the garden on its own. And what happens when you take this stake and move it out into the garden on its own? Well, the stem is going to snap. It's going to fall over flat on the soil. It's going to not be standing upright. It's going to eventually break, and then you're going to have to restart everything all over again. And so what are the reasons why we have a stake? Well, it's called legginess. We did a whole episode on what causes leggy seedlings, but what we want to do is we want to prevent the leggy seedlings so that we don't have to use a stake in the first place, because a very stocky seedling does not need support. It supports itself. Prime example, this broccoli. So like I said, in the case of this kale, it's not broccoli, it's kale. These seedlings here are short and stocky. See, they are very, very sturdy. It's because they're low to the ground. They have a very low center of gravity, and the stem can support the leaves that are on top. The problem is when they get leggy, they'll get longer and longer and longer, but nothing changes with the strength of the stem. The stem should be proportionate to the amount of weight that it can hold up top. And when it starts to get top heavy, it starts to kind of droop and flop. That's where a lot of gardeners will say, whoa, no, I need to correct that. I need to give it up, stand it upright and support it with something like a stake. And the problem is if you never correct it in the beginning, it's always going to have that problem. It's kind of like, so when I was a kid, I went to the dentist, and the dentist said, Luke has a crossbite, and if we don't correct it early on, it's only going to make things worse later on in life. And so they fixed the crossbite early on. Same thing with any type of corrective measure. It's better to catch it early, because if you catch it early, it has a chance to actually kind of correct itself and grow totally fine. What you don't want is you don't want to just let it go, let the problem stay, persist, and then try to correct it later on, because it's just too late. And so in the case of leggy seedlings, supporting it is not the fix. It's actually going to just be a crutch. What I want you to do is to add something like a fan. A fan, in that episode we talked about how to prevent leggy seedlings. A fan blows over top of these seedlings here and actually will strengthen them. It simulates wind outside, and that's why plants that you start directly in your garden are far stronger and healthier than plants that you start in a greenhouse or a grow room. Yes, you do get an earlier head start, which is great, but if you don't have things like a fan, you're going to end up with really kind of feeble seedlings that once you get them outside, they're going to really struggle in that strong wind. And the other thing that is a reason why plants get leggy is because they're getting too dry or they're too stressed, right? We talk about heat, drought, things like that, which is reasons why plants get leggy. But keeping your plants stocky like this, rather than having to resort to support, is really important. It's, again, not that support won't work long term, but having healthy seedlings is a key to success as a gardener. So we talked a little bit about seed starting mix when using cinnamon to prevent things like mold and mildew, but we also have another crutch with seed starting mix, and that's increasing drainage. And a lot of gardeners advocate using sand to increase the drainage in your seed starting mix. And again, using sand is not a bad thing in your seed starting mix, but it's not a good thing for long term. And so I'm going to kind of explain why that's a crutch and what you can do to not have to use sand. So the reason why sand is not a good long-term solution to increasing drainage in your seed starting mix is because of a few reasons. One, sand is very dense. Anything that's very dense is actually going to make your soil heavier over time. It's not actually going to be light and airy, because sand is very heavy in comparison to some of the other alternatives that I'm going to talk about. So the heavier it is, just the more difficult it is to manage, and also it really does not hold together soil very well, because it's such a small particle, but it's such a very dense particle. The other thing that sand does not work very well long term in is because of that density, is it tends to separate. It's a lot like if you take oil and water, right? Oil and water separates. There's a lot of things that separate, right? And you can shake oil and water up and it temporarily kind of becomes one, but if you let it set for any length of time, that separation does occur. And in a seed starting mix, that also will happen. What happens is it's known as settling. And because the sand is a smaller particle and it's more dense than the rest of your seed starting mix, which is going to be made from lightweight material like peat or cocoa husk fiber or even compost, that lighter weight material will kind of tend to rise to the top, and the more dense material, being the sand, will sink to the bottom. And that's really not great long term, because what happens is it actually kind of creates a weird barrier there where the plant wants to grow in the top layer, doesn't want to grow into the bottom layer, and over time it just ends up with kind of a really nasty separation in the seed starting mix long term. And so what I'd rather you turn to is using things like perlite. Perlite, as we talked about, is an expanded volcanic rock. It's actually really lightweight, but it has a very similar density to that of compost, peat moss, or coconut husk fiber. And so it tends to stay suspended in that mix. You know, if you take a homogeneous mixture, your seed starting mix, there is a near 100% chance there will be some movement, right? There'll be some movement, but if you take that same mix 2 or 3 years later even, you're still gonna find perlite at the bottom, you're still gonna find perlite at the top. It's not gonna have that separation like you'll have with sand. And so it's a very common crutch to wanna turn to something inexpensive and accessible like sand. But there are some negatives with using it long term that, again, just they prevent you from being a better gardener. And again, on this channel, I want you guys to learn the how and the why of gardening so you become a better gardener. Again, sand is not the enemy, it's just not good long term. And so those are all the crutches that I kind of thought about for this episode. I was watching some popular gardening tutorials and TikTok hacks and stuff, and I came across a lot of these being talked about, and I thought, why not actually make gardeners better rather than just kind of rely on these crutches? So I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure to throw a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. We got so much more gardening content coming out. And if you want to check out this sick t-shirt, Sauerkraut Kids t-shirt, make sure you go check out MIgardener.com. We have this size available. It's a limited time, or we have this design available in a lot of different sizes, available for a limited time over at MIgardener.com. So go check it out. All right, catch you guys later on the next episode. Grow bigger. Take care.